Hello, everybody, and welcome to the PHLY Eagles podcast on a Wednesday evening, 8:33 Eastern Standard Time. Bo Wulf, Zach Berman here to talk about our day spent at the NovaCare Complex for Locker Room Cleanout Day. We talked to Jalen Hurts. We talked to Fletcher Cox. We talked to Jason Kelce, among many others, to get their take on everything that happened at the end and throughout the 2023 Eagles season. Maybe their perspective on Nick Sirianni's future. We will talk about that. Zach, it's cold outside. How are you?
I'm happy to be inside. I'm doing well. It was so nice to see you today and nice to see you on the screen here. Brings back memories of when we used to always be on the screen as opposed to doing the pods in person. But
yes, you're much smaller in this setting.
I usually get much smaller in person, so I appreciate that. No, look, it was a busy day at NovaCare today, as we all know, and it was a final chance to speak to some players who won't be back, some players who might retire, and some players who certainly will be back, but their opinions matter a great deal. We did not get resolution today on who's going to coach the Eagles next season, right? We're still kind of waiting for the smoke to emerge from NovaCare on that. But
that's what I put in the headline, in the description of the show.
Is that what you put in?
We're waiting for a cloud of smoke to emanate from Jeffrey Lurie's chimney.
Now, you don't usually get religious, so I like that. But no, this was a busy day and much to discuss. It's gonna be a packed pod.
Yes, it will be a packed pod. There is so much to talk about. The players we talked to today, the long wait for Jalen Hurts. We can get to all that, but why don't let's start and spend just a few minutes on the Sirianni, hanging in the balance here. Diana Rossini, the great reporter from The Athletic, said that they have not met yet. They were maybe supposed to meet today. There were some logistical issues, supposed to meet tomorrow, so that Sirianni can present his plan moving forward. As we sit here on Wednesday evening, 2 days after the Eagles season is over, what is your leaning on his future? Has it changed since yesterday?
Well, so I have a piece on allphly.com right now with thoughts on this situation. And one thing I wrote is that unless you're in that meeting, you're operating from an information deficit here. And that meeting's critical because, as we discussed in yesterday's show, this is about the vision going forward, and this is about whether Sirianni can execute that vision. And so that's really the big deal here, right? And how do I kind of feel the same, but I feel the same in that the meeting hasn't taken place, right? If they had met and he's still kind of hanging in the balance, then I would say that I would feel strongly that he's coming back. Certainly from hearing players in the locker room, I think he does have the belief of the locker room. Now we can get into what was left unsaid, perhaps by Jalen Hurts, right? But no, I kind of feel the same way I felt yesterday. How about you?
Which is what? That you lean towards that he's going?
I mean, I hate saying 50-50. But yeah, I think that
yesterday it sounded like you were leaning a little bit that he's going.
Yeah, and probably that's my closer lean there, because I think the easiest thing for them to do when you have a head coach who has been as successful as Nick Sirianni has is just to say he's coming back. You put out a statement. We're disappointed about the way the season ended. We're all disappointed here, but I believe in Nick Sirianni as a coach. I believe in him as a leader, and I'm excited to see what he can do with the 2024 football team. Right? If it's a no-brainer from them, or if it's not hanging in the air, then that's what they would do. So that the fact that hasn't come out, and now I understand there can be PR people who push back, being like, you don't have to announce that a guy's coming back, right? I heard this,
no, but they would announce a press conference that would include Nick Sirianni.
Yeah. Like Chip Kelly used to say, I don't call a press conference when we release everybody, because I'm not going to call it when we release Deshaun Jackson. You can kind of use that point here. But the way I see it is that The speculation's clearly out there. If they were sure, if they were certain that Nick Sirianni was coming back, then they would say that. And we're evaluating the staff and all that.
Well, it's not even just that they would say it; it's that they would have people who they often disseminate information to say it on their behalf. Like, this is ridiculous. Like,
I guess the national reporters would be the ones saying it. Yeah, those local reporters have no idea what's going on. The reality is this, right? So that would be the message that you hear.
Right.
The fact
it
that
would be, and
happening.
you can even trace it on, like, every now and then these things get tagged to me. People will tag me on Twitter, like what Adam Schefter says on his like local radio appearance, that like, this is ridiculous. Of course he's coming back. I get, and then this week it was something to the effect of like, I don't know, well, bets are off. So you can trace that evolution, which, how silly of us to have speculated sooner. All of that said, I think I've flipped.
Okay.
Overnight, I put my head on the pillow and I was thinking about it more, and like for the same reasons that we crushed the decision to change midstream defensive coordinators, the Fletcher Cox line about the calmer you are, the calmer we are. I feel like Jeffrey Lurie needs to be the calm one and wants to be the calm one here. Now, there is very much the case here of, you have to do what I'm going to say you're going to do. And I think on tomorrow's show, you and I are going to sort of cosplay the meeting between Lurie and Lurie and Sirianni. And I feel like it is, okay, listen, because now it is not even to the point, like it was such a collapse and such an indefensible coaching job. You wrote about, like, deserves got nothing to do with it. And over the course of his tenure, certainly he deserves to be lauded. But also over the course of the last 8 games, he deserves to not be the head coach based on what the team put on tape, what the offensive scheme put on tape, and what the effort said. All of that said, because it was so bad, I don't think that Sirianni can come in to that meeting, present a plan with like a leg to stand on, if that makes sense. Like, he cannot bristle at the thought that, how dare you think I didn't do a good enough job on offense? Like, we all saw how terrible the offense was when it mattered most. And so that makes it so it's now in a situation, I think, just pure speculation, where he is going to have to do whatever they want. So they're going to pick the staff, or, he's going to make his connections, whatever. Diane also had the report that both Sirianni and Roseman have been reaching out to prospective coaching people to potentially join their staff. And it's going to be like, listen, you're going to do, like, you better call the game. We're going to hire somebody who's going to be better at calling, like, the in-game management stuff. That is not on your plate anymore. Like, you just lead the people. And the other thing here, to me, is the Jalen Hurts of it all. And we can use this to sort of transition into the scene.
Well, there is one thing I did want to say before you get into that.
But okay, that's fine. But the obviously the very tepid endorsement that Jalen Hurts gave on Monday night, which I thought was a little bit different today, but sort of along the same lines. And obviously the reporting that was done this week about, like, the dissension potentially about the offensive scheme between the coach and the quarterback. I don't think in Jeffrey Lurie's mind, he wants to hand over that power to Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts needs to be an adult and figure out a way to get along with his head coach, and, like, they have to move forward together. It's not going to be like just replacing guys.
He already handed over that power when he offered him that contract. But
but not all of the decision-making power. Sure. Like, he doesn't want to look like a fool, Jalen Hurts. So at some point he's going to have to find a way to make this work. Plus there's also, like, the second year with the same play caller. Like, could Brian Johnson be back, and whoever they bring in to help on offense is not the play caller, and you can roll that back as, like, there's a little bit of continuity. I don't know. We were texting with Sheil yesterday, and I said 52%. Sheil Kapadia. Thank you very much.
Your
good
joke
callback.
when I say that, yes.
Good callback.
Sheil, I know who you are. That was not me
52% yesterday, leaning that he was going to be gone. Now I'm at about, I would say, 63% that he's going to stay.
Yeah, look, I mean, I've said that I he doesn't deserve to go. And look, it might be covered by the fact that I've seen him win big games, and I've seen the locker room rally. I've seen the locker room rally around him. Now, I do think it's not enough to go into these meetings saying we need to make change, right? Because he said that after the game, when I asked him how they got to this point.
Sure, it needs to be specific. Yeah.
He said, like, everything's going to be evaluated. And he mentioned specifically scheme and play calling as part of what's going to be evaluated. It's not enough to go into this meeting and saying, like, yeah, this was a problem. We need to take a look at it. No, you need to have a clear action plan for how you're going to fix this and who's going to fix this. And to that point of who's going to fix this, it does make me snicker. I was in the car when I saw Diana's tweet, how normalized it is.
Hold on a second. Zach.
I did not tweet. I saw the tweet. I did not tweet. I was not typing anything.
How did you see it? How did you read it? You were supposed to.
I saw it on my phone, but I did not. I was not typing.
That's not any better. If anything, that's worse. You can type without looking. You can't read without diverting your eyes from the road. It's icy out there, Zach. What are we doing?
I was at a light.
You're always at a light. I don't know if we believe this.
I only look.
This is an issue.
I only look at the phone while at a light. Okay, but let me. Okay, and now I'm getting text from Emily, who's watched the first episode she watches here. That's horrible, Zach. Yeah, no, I was at a light. So sorry, Emily, I love you.
You can't get anything by the people.
Nah. Okay. So let me get this. So how
Alex
much
Stern says, Zach, we're not mad, we're disappointed.
So, anyways, I saw this tweet when I got home. How about that? Let's take away.
Well, now you're just lying.
Yes. The last how much we've normalized because none of us bat an eye because it's the expectation. Howie Roseman's calling coaches and calling coaching agents, this kind of thing.
Right.
Like, imagine if the report was the other way around. Nick Sirianni's calling front office members to see if they would it would be like, oh my goodness, the idea that Howie Roseman's calling to fill out this coaching staff is it's just become so normalized. And I always find that interesting.
That is interesting. But it also does make sense on this because, like, if the idea is, boy, the staff as a whole let us down and we need to get better people in here, you would want to lean on everybody's connections in the building. And part of the reason, the whole, how the sausage gets made of their reporting and how Howie Roseman is able to know that people are available is because he is very well connected around the league. And so, yeah, of course he's going to have connections with player agent or coach agents and all these different things.
By the way, I see the chat. You guys have convinced me. I am not going to look at my phone at all, even when at a light. I am going to put the phone away, and I will simply listen to whatever it is. Whatever. No, I said I would not tweet and drive, right? Or text and drive, which I haven't been doing. But I did look when I was at the light at the news.
I wonder if there's a way to do if you set up tweet alerts for Diana tweets and will Apple CarPlay or Siri then read those to you. Does that work?
Maybe. I only have alerts now from Philadelphia Eagles. So,
wow.
Well, you have more alerts than that?
I don't, but it surprises me that you don't. You love technology and you're addicted to the news, and so I'm shocked you don't have Schefter tweet alerts.
No, because my phone would be buzzing all the time. And one thing I don't like, this is a pet peeve of mine, is to be looking at the phone during a conversation, right? So I don't want, I want fewer alerts because
Which is also interesting because you have had your alerts on your computer make noise during the show.
Yeah, those are texts. Yeah, I want fewer Apple.
You want
Apple
fewer push alerts.
Yes, I'm on Apple News Plus, and I get so many push alerts from.
How do you feel about the Athletics push alerts?
I like them. I like reading them. Yeah, brings me to the articles.
I feel like some ones I see when did I need an alert for that? But most of the time it's effective.
Yeah, that's precisely
what they're
for.
Yeah,
exactly.
We got nothing.
Get use those numbers. Yeah.
All right. So we can save a little bit of that conversation for tomorrow. unless news breaks overnight, and we can do a 3 a.m. emergency pod just for old time's sake. But because we're talking about the Jalen Hurts of it all, let's go there. We talked yesterday on the show about how uninspiring Jalen Hurts' defense of Nick Sirianni was after the game. Today, he had a chance to sort of walk that back. He talked about a few other things. What did you make of the whole Jalen Hurts scene, 3.5 hours after we expected him to talk?
Yeah. Always good hearing from Jalen. Rain, sleet, or snow, day or night, no matter when it is, when Jalen talks, I will be there.
Cole B has your back, by the way, Zach, on a super chat. He said, everyone texts and drives, reads at a light. Give me a break.
Yeah. I don't text and drive, Colby, but I appreciate you having my back. But I do read at lights.
I am not immune here. I have slipped up.
Okay.
It is a thing that I don't like about myself. I can admit that. But it's a thing that I'm trying to do as little as possible.
So Jalen, he took a while, and I really wanted to get in this question of, you have a lot of power, or your voice matters in this organization.
This was tough to watch from my vantage point, because you were trying to get this in for a while, and you had the same intro line, and so I felt bad for you that you had to keep repeating your voice. You matters. Know what? And it was ironic, because in that point he was deciding that your voice didn't matter.
Yeah, if I was in Jalen's case, and I would actually turn it the fourth time I said it and say, yeah, I know that part. What's the rest of the question? I do have a little self-deprecating line here, which is, this probably shows how obsessed I am with this job, is that Jalen in the press conference the other night was referring to a time when he said all it takes is a crumb, and he nodded over to me because he said it in response to a question I had before about the crumbs. Okay. But it's like, I kind of felt like this guy will take any crumb I give him and run with it, right? It's kind of like he's obsessed with these crumbs. He's missed dinners with his in-laws to get some of these crumbs, right? So that's that. He didn't put his kids to bed tonight because of these crumbs.
Why did the cookie have to go to the doctor?
Why?
He was feeling crummy.
It's a dad joke if I've ever heard one.
Actually, that's the joke that the doctor told today to distract Casey from the shot that he was getting.
Ah, okay. I like that. Is he okay?
He's fine. He got his COVID booster. If we want to violate HIPAA violations.
God, I ask if your kid's okay.
He had his checkup, and
Okay, I'm not asking.
He doesn't like
his
shots.
Medical. I'm not asking for his medical records.
Him.
I'm asking if he's feeling well, how he's doing. Okay,
a little checkup.
All right. Goodness. You're like Guy and Eagle with Mike Fratello. You have to get on social media to understand that one.
I think is that still going, or is that an old thing?
Oh, was that an old clip?
I thought so.
Oh,
it's like the clip that everybody was showing of the Kelce interaction where Jason had to stop the show, but that was from last year.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah. All right. Sorry. I saw that. I saw that today. So what did I make of it? So anyways, I asked him that question, and he said, owners own, coaches coach, players play. And he has trust in them in the building. I found that, he's distancing himself from decisions that are made. So that's interesting there. Now, the other part is he gave that similar answer when E.J. Smith asked him if he wants Sirianni back. And he said, owners own, coaches coach. He said that when he answered that question the other night, that he didn't know this was coming, that he that's kind of how he felt, and that he thinks they're all going to fix this together.
I actually did take it as a slight minor improvement on what he said Monday night.
How so?
Well, I mean, he then gave the follow-up of, like, I've got full confidence in Nick, and he even mentioned Brian Johnson, which I didn't know. I thought that was important that he snuck that in there. I also thought that it was purposeful in he needs to know and embrace the fact that his voice matters, as like to your point, but I think it was his way of explaining that he doesn't think that his opinion should matter here, at least publicly, which I disagree with, but it is something of an explanation for why he didn't go overboard on Monday night.
Yes.
It almost would have looked worse if he had come out and been like way over the top this time.
Maybe. I mean, to me, like it should be a softball question unless you don't make it that. And I understand he has his whole shtick, and I respect that. Everyone, I mean, you have a shtick, I have a shtick. Everyone everyone has their thing, right? And there's a way he answers questions, and there's a way he approaches it. And I believe in people being authentically themselves. And I respect, like, I'm not telling Jalen to be someone he's not, or I want people's earnestness, right? But to me, it's like if my wife says that you have dessert at lunch today, and I said I had a salad, and it's like, okay, but that's not answering the question, So it's if
Did
you're
you have
asking,
dessert at lunch today?
Yeah, I had a cookie.
Emily
but I also
texting me to follow up.
Yeah. But point being that if you say, do you want Nick back? And you say owner's own, coach's coach, it's like, say, yeah, of course. Of course I do. I answered it that way the other night because I didn't think it was a question. Like, this guy's fair. My coach. I have his back. Yeah. And then you say, but it's not my decision. Owner's own, I'm here to play. I'm employee number one. And that's Jeffrey Lurie's decision. That's how, that kind of thing. That's like, to me, you can still give that answer that he gave while also saying, of course, I answered it that night because I didn't think it's a question. But to,
like how Fletcher Cox answered it.
Yeah. Like how Jason Kelce answered it. Like how Hassan Reddick answered it the other night. Like, nobody else takes that question and tries to make it into this maze to get to the answer, right? It's a simple question. Do you want him to be your coach? And if you don't, at least you can at least act like you do. And if you want it to be cryptic, then you're gonna be cryptic. So that's my interpretation for it. That's not me like reading too much into it. That's me saying simply, if you want it to be a simple question, it could be a simple answer.
It's totally fair. I think that's a very good point.
Yeah.
And it's the thing that we talked about the other day. Like, you don't know what you don't know. Yeah. Of course we don't know what we don't know because you don't tell us anything.
Yeah. So that's kind of, yeah, that was my feeling, is that he had another chance just to say, yes, of course I do. And that's not the approach that he took.
Yeah. I think that's well said. What else jumped out to you from Jalen?
Yeah. So, his leadership came up quite a bit.
His first answer, the first thing he talked about was acknowledging that, like, this perception, which he has sort of said before, but this thing that was out there about, maybe his demeanor was viewed a little bit differently this year in the locker room. And he said something to the effect of, like, every year is different. Every year requires different kind of leadership. And I probably need to do a better job of, reacting to that, which was interesting and showed some self-reflection and made sense. But then as the press conference went on, he sort of doubled back and said, well, yeah, all of this same stuff. Everybody was calling me this amazing leader last year, this special leader. And now all of a sudden it's not the same. And so there is still some defensiveness there.
Yeah. And look, I actually agree with Jalen on this. I shouldn't say actually, because there's a lot of things I agree with Jalen on, but this is one that I particularly
thermostats.
Yeah, exactly. But this is one that I particularly agree with him on is that he basically said the things you were praising me for last year, you're criticizing me for this year. And I've said this, and I've used the Bull Durham line. It's that when he's winning, all these things are it's like, yeah, he's intense, he's motivated, he's even keeled. And then when they're losing, it's like he's reclusive or he sticks to himself. No, it's got to be it's all open for interpretation. Jalen leaves a lot open for interpretation. Whatever issues might exist in that building, Jalen Hurts as a leader, I don't think is well, I guess it depends on what you want from your leader. I think Jalen does everything or he does almost everything the right way, right? He plays his ass off. He works hard. He cares. I think Jalen is like, he's so steeped in the football culture. He's the coach's son that he does every, he's your dream in that regard. But I also think that there's like a lone wolf to him, right? That he kind of creates it that way. He's much more, and he's not your one of the guys type quarterbacks. He's more like, I'm here, right? And I'm chasing this standard, and you can come chase it with me. It's him talking about how him and Devontae Smith are working out at night when like everyone else is on the strip at Alabama. He kind of says everyone else is doing that while I'm doing this. That's the kind of leader that Jalen Hurts is. Yeah, I don't have an issue with his leadership, and I think it can be, but I do think, and Jeff McClain wrote this over the weekend, that when things are tough, the eyes are on him at all times, right? Not just in good times, and bad times. And when things are going bad, people want to see how you respond. When you talk about how you're the thermostat, that's at all times, right? And setting the temperature means that when the temperature is going low, you need to be the one bringing that temperature up, right? Otherwise, you're going to be in a cold ass house. So, sorry for my language there. It's been a long day.
I'm interested in seeing the ass house.
Sorry, you know what I mean. But yeah. So that's my point. If you're the thermostat, not the thermometer, then you're the one setting that.
The faultiness of the thermostat thing is that for him, and like his temperature remains the same no matter what the weather is outside, right? He is constant. He is not reflecting, what the room needs necessarily.
No, but he has to set the temperature for the room. That's my point. And so,
right. Then that's what I'm saying.
So when that's
for him, and I, like, generally speaking, I totally agree that like his leadership is not the problem. And the more newsworthy thing here is that things are being disseminated from around the building about his leadership being a problem, which seems ridiculous to me after last year. However, I think the thing that he's saying about having to like react to the seasons and then being different and requiring different leadership is true. Like when the team is front running and is one of the best teams in the league, like to have a guy like Jalen who is saying the standard is the standard and like we are not satisfied, we have to keep chasing this is great. And the next season, when the team is not that good and you're still like just whatever, who knows what his relationships are like with everybody in the locker room, right? But like if you're still off to the side and just being worker bee, maybe that isn't what is necessarily called for, because the truth is, quarterback in the NFL, franchise quarterback is the highest paid position in sports other than Saudi golfer, for a reason, because it's not just the most important position on the field in the most popular game, but like all of the attention that gets placed on you and all of the the narratives that surround you, that's part of the job. And like you are the face of everything, you have that power. And so yes, when he doesn't wield that power to defend Nick Sirianni or support whatever player needs support, that stuff does matter.
Exactly. And that's why, I saw a comment that Julia put up earlier. And I'm sorry, I'm not crediting who said it, but that Jalen just wants to play football. He doesn't care about the politics of all this. Well, let me tell you something. Tough luck. You're the face of the franchise. You're the franchise quarterback. There are things that come with that position, right? There are things that are required there that people want to hear what you think. Everyone looks to you. You're the most important interaction that most players have that day. There are practice squad guys who are going to tell their kids one day and their grandkids one day that they played with Jalen Hurts, right? And they're going to remember being with you. And everyone looks to you. So yeah. So I'm not saying you have to, you have to have your kind of people around you leak your statement or get your side out or whatever it is. But when you're the franchise quarterback, everything that's part of the NFL industrial complex, you're a part of it too, right? And that's how you get to that point, right? I mean, that comes with the territory. That guy, I don't like bringing money into it, but that comes with the contract. You're the guy. You're the guy. We're not spending the first 40 minutes of our show talking about Rick Lovato right now, right? We're talking about Jalen Hurts. Like that.
Rick
that
Lovato
comes with
the Eagles' long snapper, by the way.
Yes, that comes with the territory.
All right, Zach. I agree with all of that, and that sort of means that line of thought was in your wheelhouse.
There you go. Wheelhouse is the go-to sports card, gift, and apparel shop in the Delaware Valley. I believe I saw on their Instagram page, which, by the way, you can follow at Wheelhouse Cards, that they have a kids trade day this weekend, which is an awesome event where you can bring your kids and they can trade cards. And that's because their motto is cards and community, and love of sports unites us all. Okay. In the room over from me right now, my son is sleeping and he has binders and binders of cards that he's been accumulating. And those cards, I think almost all of them, he got from Wheelhouse Cards. And they carry all of your favorite brands like Topps Chrome Baseball and Mosaic Football, as well as t-shirts, hats, and hoodies from brands like Mitchell & Ness, 47 Brand, Junk Food, Starter, and Shy Vintage Sports. If you're looking to grade your sports card collection, Wheelhouse offers PSA grading submissions. They also host tons of different family-friendly events and birthday parties every month. Stop into either of their stores, Wayne or Westchester, open 7 days a week, 11 a.m. Use code PHLY. It gets you $10 off any purchase of $25 or more in store. Also, be sure to give them a follow on Instagram at Wheelhouse Cards.
And a super chat from Real Time who says, Zach has beautiful eyes. Is it a filter? That's so natural, my friend.
I appreciate that, Real Time. Hope that's Emily chiming in. I wouldn't advise
it's
you
not
to.
Emily. I feel like that would be weird.
Please don't spend $1.99 for Emily. I mean, actually, I shouldn't say that. Anyone can spend whatever they would like. We appreciate it. But yeah,
spend $199.
I appreciate the compliment, Real Time. There's no filter here. These are my eyes.
There's also no filter on Rocket Money, because Rocket Money is your filter for how to save you money and not pay for those subscriptions that you've just sort of let lapse that you're not using anymore. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower those bills. Not your Belichick's, your money bills. I can see all of my subscriptions in one place, and if I see something I don't want, I can cancel it with one tap. I never have to get on the phone with customer service. They will even try to get you a refund for the last couple months of wasted money and negotiate to lower your bills for you by up to 20%. All you have to do is take a picture of your bill, and Rocket Money takes care of the rest. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has helped save its members an average of $720 a year with over $500 million in canceled subscriptions. So stop wasting your money on things you don't use. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions by going to rocketmoney.com/PHLY. That's rocketmoney.com/PHLY, rocketmoney.com/PHLY. All right, Zach, let's talk about everybody else who we talked to in the locker room today. Where would you like to start?
Let's start with Fletcher Cox. And Fletcher Cox said that he hasn't made a decision on his future yet. It certainly sounded like, from what others in the locker room said, that Fletcher Cox is not going to be is not coming back.
I don't know that was gospel
from Jordan Davis.
Yeah, well, explain what Jordan Davis said.
Yeah, Jordan Davis. We spoke to him for about 15 minutes and was talking about how, Fletcher's not going to be here next year, and how he loved playing with Fletcher Cox during these 2 years. He's so fortunate to have these 2 years, and now it's up to him and Jalen and Milton to kind of carry on Fletcher's legacy, and that it was that you kind of get used to Fletcher being in your room and Fletcher being on the field, and you kind of lean on him as a crutch. And now those guys need to step up. And that's kind of what he said. So
I don't think that means that he's definitely not coming back. I mean, he's a free agent.
Exactly.
He might not come back, but I mean, you remember Brandon Graham shaking hands and saying goodbye to everybody like 5 years ago.
Yeah, there's a lot that goes
into. We'll see what the market says. I think the Eagles would have some interest in bringing Fletcher Cox back. He was the best player on the defense this year.
And PHLY too, by the way. We would have interest in bringing Fletcher Cox back too. Fletcher's if it was kind of symbolic to see Fletcher's locker completely cleaned out.
That was interesting.
Right next to Brandon Graham's. Now Brandon Graham comes. He lives here year round. Brandon, right? He works out at the facility. He already said he's coming back next year, although he's not under contract. So at some point they're gonna have to ask him to clean out that locker because
they're not gonna ask him to clean out the locker.
He can't come back to work out on like April 12th. Right?
No, he can't come back in the building. That's true, but they're not going to ask him to clean out the locker. They're not going to say anything to him.
Well, I'm saying that at some point here, that locker is going to have to get cleaned out. If he's not,
I promise you that no one is going to tell Brandon, "Hey, you got to clean out your locker."
I mean, someone might have to because Brandon said the other night
back for $1 million or whatever. It's going to be fine.
You don't know that.
I don't know that. You're right,
and by the way, he might be in like a sue situation where
he's going to sue the team.
No, and Dom can sue where he jumps on like a stretch run.
Yeah, but they're not cleaning out his locker.
Okay,
unless he signs with a different team, they are not going to just ditch his stuff and put it in a trash bag.
Yeah, because there's a lot of cologne in there and a lot of cologne samples. As Fletcher said last week,
Super chat from Cole, who says, "I don't understand this new narrative that Jalen doesn't get the politics aspect. He went to Alabama and Oklahoma. You're kidding yourself if you don't think that politics are involved at those institutions."
So I found that now Fletcher also had a staunch defense for Nick Sirianni. As did Jason Kelce.
Bit of an adversarial back and forth with Jeff McClain.
Yeah, two pros right there. So, Jason Kelce did not want to talk about his future.
Well, hold on. Let's stick with Fletcher.
Okay.
Did he say anything about his future?
I got in a little later on that, but as I said, he said that he hasn't made a decision yet on it.
And were there other people besides Jordan Davis who alluded to him definitely not coming back?
No, it was mainly Jordan Davis.
Okay, so I don't think that this was talking about the fact that he just heard that Nick Sirianni got fired. I think this is one person's perspective.
I mean, weren't these reports about Jason Kelce based on other people's perspectives?
Well, I think that's part of it. We can talk Kelce now. I don't know that this is done.
Well, from the horse's mouth this morning, Jason said on his podcast that you can't make these decisions after the game. And by the way, there's been times when Jason would tell you that he's left the field thinking he's not coming back, and then he needs to. You take a few weeks, you're away, you kind of make your decision then. Now he certainly was emotional coming off the field and in the locker room after the game, but I think there is validity to that it does take time. I mean, I do imagine that he went into that game thinking it was his last. And from my understanding, that's kind of been the operating procedure, the way a lot of people around him have been thinking. But yeah, I mean, until he says it.
Jason Kelce has a lot of ways to get his message out there when he wants to give it. He knows how to do that. I think we can wait for him to do that whenever he makes his final decision.
And he's given us the answers to the test. And what I mean by that is he has told us this same anecdote so many times. When Jeff Stoutland says to him, he says to Jeff Stoutland, "When am I going to retire?" And Stoutland says, "When you don't want to do this anymore." and he says to Stout, like, no, I'm always going to want to do it. And he's going to say, no, there's going to be a time when you don't want to do this anymore. And so that's what's going to come down to. Like, Jason's going to have to wake up and say, I don't want to go through this. I don't want to do.
Keeps coming back for the cafeteria.
I don't want to do training camp. I don't want to do Wednesday practices in the winter. Like, I just want to, I'm good. I had, as he said, he told his teammates after the game, like, you should hope for my effing career, like, don't feel bad for me. So yeah, that's what would have to happen. But I'm kind of assuming that Jason is not coming back, but again, we'll see.
Yeah, he also owes it to himself to give it a little bit of time.
Exactly.
Let his body heal. That's been his process in the past. And yeah, like I said, he's got like the second most popular Eagles podcast in the world. He'll be able to get that message out when he's ready.
If he wants to go on the first most popular one, Jason, I know you're watching right now. You have an open invitation. Anytime you want to talk, Jason, you got my number. You have an open invitation.
I did. I talked to him briefly afterwards. I thought the most interesting thing he said, and he held court for a while, and he said some very insightful things. He said some things about Sirianni and
the offense.
Like the offense, yes, like they just could not solve the blitz, and just like the frustrating process of trying to figure out what's wrong and not having a good finger on it. I thought the most interesting thing he said that really like made my ears pop was he was talking about is he going to go to the Pro Bowl, and he said it's in Orlando, so he's probably going to bring the kids down so they can go to Walt Disney World, and then he doubled back down and said, yeah, well, and we'll go, we can go to Walt Disney, and I don't. Do you know anybody who gives the proper Walt on Walt Disney World? He doubled. He said it twice. He said he gave the Walt.
He gave the Walt. No, actually, I don't. What he said when you brought that to his attention?
He said, oh, you know what? And he said, you know what? I wouldn't say Walt Disneyland. So why do I say Walt Disney World? I think it was a moment of real soul searching. Why do I say it that way? I don't know. I thought that was fascinating.
Yeah. So actually,
like, you don't say, I won the Super Bowl, I'm going to Walt Disney World.
That's true. That's a good point.
Good for Walt. What? I mean, you don't get a lot of Walt pops these days. We all forget about Walt Disney. This is his creation. No, it's just Disney brand.
I mean, I don't think I mean, perhaps he's anti-Roy. Do you know Roy?
I don't know.
I actually don't know. You got to study your Disneys. Roy was Walt's brother.
Okay.
Yeah. Walt.
Bad guy or what?
Walt passed away before the completion of Walt Disney World. He had this dream of this amazing place and where everybody's happy all the time, and he was, he flew over and he found this swampy area in Florida, and then he
Roy
planned
did, or
for this
Walt
whole
did?
thing. No, Walt did, and then had this beautiful vision, and then when he passed away before it opened, and Roy kind of followed through on the plans.
Okay. Was the animation already in place? Walt was able to do that. The world. When did the world open?
Oh, 75 years ago, not that long ago, right? So,
but post Fantasia.
Oh yeah, know. Of course. Yeah, okay. I mean,
right.
like Disneyland was already there. The Walt Disney Corporation was already a big deal at the time. They were opening the amusement park in Florida. This was going to be their big experiment, or not their big extravagance. It's a big deal here, and he opens, and so he passed away, and Roy saw it through. I watched one before.
Roy is not to be confused with Ray Kroc.
This might not surprise you, but when we went to Disney World last year, before we went down, I had with my son, like, I'm like, all right, you have to learn all about this before, right?
Yeah.
So we
goes on brand,
yeah. So we watched the documentary, we queued it up, and So he would ask about Walt and Roy whenever we were down there. Did Roy see this? Did Walt? Yeah. Did Walt see this? So, anyways, like he said, because he is going to the Pro Bowl, and someone said, "You're playing," and he's like, "Well, you don't really play anymore in the Pro Bowl." But he said, it's a trip. It's a trip to Disney World with his family, and his daughter will be happy as long as they can see Elsa. And it made me think when I covered the last Pro Bowl in Orlando that Jason went to, it was 2020. And I don't know if his kids were like old enough to fully appreciate Disney World at the time. So I do remember he had his family there, but they'll probably enjoy it much more here in 2024.
You like an Elsa?
I like what my daughter like.
Elsa or Anna, who you like better?
You know what? I kind of space out when that's on. But I can tell you this simple premise.
Interest in children's interests.
Yeah, I'd much rather a documentary than the. But I went to when we were down there. I believe it was at the Hollywood Studios. They have a Frozen live thing. Okay, and I fell asleep during the presentation. I thought my father-in-law, because we went with my in-laws. I thought my father-in-law was going to be so disappointed. I thought it was going to be like in Seinfeld when they're like, "And you were kissing during Schindler's List." It's like you were sleeping during the Frozen.
Slightly different.
Slightly different. I'm using that reference.
And he was okay with it.
I don't think they knew I was sleeping.
Well, he knows now. He's a devoted listener.
Yeah, appreciate it, David. Thank you.
It would have been different if you were making out during the Frozen production.
Yeah, definitely was not doing that.
Okay. All right. Who else did you talk to?
I spoke to a number of different people in there. So Jordan Davis, by the way, it wasn't just about Fletcher Cox. A lot of it was about football, and he was happy with the improvements that he made this year. He said he did wear down at the end of the year, and there's things he must stay on top of that he's kind of learned from Fletcher and Brandon Graham. He said that the area that he needs to improve in his game is the get off. He says when you see the get off from players like Sweat and Cox and Graham, and then he mentioned Aaron Donald, like they're so consistent in their get off, and that's where he really needs to improve. So that was interesting to hear. Nakobe Dean spoke to him, and he's going to be, he's going to be out of the boot soon. And
3 weeks, he said.
Yeah,
then he'll have a month when he could start to run, but there's no rush. Yeah. And then a month after the boot comes off, that's when he gets the hardware out, and that's when he can really be full systems go.
Oh, by the way, we had a Sidney Brown debate about when he's going to return.
I believe it's September. October 1 is the defining line.
Yeah, he said the latest is opening day. Yeah, he says training camp. He says he's done the math. It's
he's done the math.
Training camp. There's look. My father-in-law chimes in. He fell asleep.
He said you fell asleep.
Yes, I fell asleep. Yep.
That's great.
Yeah. Appreciate you watching. That was a spot on call, Bo. So yeah, he said that.
That's great.
He said he's done the math. He said training camp. He could be back by the beginning of training camp. He's hoping, or like the latest opening day. So take that for what you will.
He must be. He must have downloaded those dolphin sex noises.
He's gonna get surgery this week, by the way. So
only this week. Let's get it in gear if we want to be ready for opening. We'll see what happens when the actual time is. The greater point is that it affects the Eagles roster plannings. Yes. They cannot count on him being a starting safety week 1.
Yep.
There's no doubt about that.
Slay said that the adjustment to Matt Patricia, it was.
Oh, yeah, this was interesting.
It was really tough. He said
he's a true down and dirty monogamist.
He said you take on two different personalities. He said it's like having two different wives. You can't do that. He said one might want their feet rubbed, one might want their shoulder rubbed. It would throw you off. So that's,
I mean,
you're not selling that.
No, I mean, I don't know that it tracks necessarily, but the point is obviously this was not easy for the guys on the defense. And I think that was like nobody's like coming out and just throwing people under the bus in this setting, even though they might be just a little bit looser than they are during the season. But like you talked to some defensive players today and they were like, yeah, it was hard. Like,
yeah,
of course it was.
Exactly. And that's, I mean, Slay gave the example that he played for Patricia. Patricia likes press man coverage. He's like, Desai wanted you to play, quarters. So it was a totally different approach, and it was hard to do it at the time that they did it. It continues to be a baffling decision. It was a baffling decision then. It's a baffling decision now. Spoke to a handful of other players. Jordan Mailata, he got married last summer. He's going to go on a delayed honeymoon this year. He wants to start a podcast with Jordan Davis called Jordan Squared. And he said that he sees Kelce gets all this free stuff. Like all the stuff around Kelce's locker is free. And he's like, Jordan has to buy all his stuff. So he wants some of that swag, or not swag. That's swag.
That's swag, yeah.
Okay. So, but a lot of stuff about the offense, like I asked Kelce, for instance. Kelce said before the season that everyone else spent the entire offseason like studying the Eagles, and their offense has to kind of have answers for that. And I asked him how it manifested itself. And he said, honestly, there was no like one flavor for how teams played them. He said, recent weeks, you've seen a lot of, blitz zero and stacked boxes. He said, but like San Francisco just rushed forward, played a soft zone. And so he said they've seen different things each week. And the bottom line is like, it simply didn't work.
Before we keep going, Zach, I got to tell you about Game Time. You know about Game Time. We talk about Game Time all the time because buying tickets to your favorite events shouldn't be stressful. Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater near you. With killer deals on last-minute tickets and their best price guarantee, you can stop stressing over the tickets and start getting hyped, baby, for the fun you're going to have. They've got flash deals and last-minute tickets, easy to find and buy tickets for every kind of event in your area. Images of seat views, lowest price guarantee, event cancellation protection, job loss protection, and more. It is the fastest growing ticketing app in the country for a reason. You buy tickets in a matter of seconds, just
2 taps.
And you're set, baby. Tickets are sent directly to your phone, so you never have to dig through your email. Snag the tickets without the stress with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code PHLY for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code PHLY for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets. Lowest price guaranteed. Shouldn't have gone baby twice there. I didn't, the one was solid, but the second baby, probably didn't need that.
Well, good thing we have the ad read again tomorrow. They'll do great.
And that's true. Okay. What else do you want to talk about before we everybody turns their attention collectively to the Iga Swiatek Danielle Collins matchup, which is 4-4 in the first set?
What's that in?
It's the Australian Open, my friend.
Yeah, not a tennis guy. Sorry.
Should be.
How's Juan Del Potro doing?
How's what?
Juan Del Potro doing?
Juan Martín Del Potro, no longer in the game.
Oh, okay. Did a big story on him in the Washington Post one time.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I hope you spelled his name. I hope you remember the Martín.
I was covering the Legg Mason.
Ferocious forehand.
The Legg Mason tournament down in Washington, D.C.
I talked to Moro Ojimo. Wanted to give him a chance to
that should top the show.
Well, I wanted to give him a chance to set the record straight about his escape room performance. And he said, it's true that I wasn't good, but I like to think I was a good teammate. He said if they were to do a draft all over again of picking teams, he doesn't think that he would be the last pick. He said his problem was he tried to overcomplicate things. He didn't realize that they might be so easy. But he was supportive.
Okay. That's important. Was he aware of the show?
He was.
Good.
He was aware of this characterization, and
Okay.
he felt it was a little bit unfair.
Okay.
But he did not deny that he was not a good solver. He said, I asked who was good, and he said Tanner McKee. He said one other person. I can't remember the other person. I have to check the tape. And then the other one he said was Jalen Hurts. He said Jalen, and this will not surprise you, Zach. He said Jalen came in late, but once he got there, he was very good and sort of saw the clues and was able to read the room well, read the defense well, as it were.
Yeah, I doesn't surprise me that now they started without Jalen, right? But we do a show every day. We've done a show every single day since September throughout every day during the week, since September 12th. And with the exception, we've done 5 shows a week since September 12th. And I bet if you add the amount of time I've spent on this show and the amount of time I've spent waiting for Jalen Hurts this year, I'm not sure which one it would be. I mean, I think that Julia, who does an outstanding job with our show, I think the line that I might send to her more than anything else is waiting on Jalen, right? Waiting on Jalen. The line that I send to Emily is often waiting on Jalen. So
your next book is going to be called Waiting on Jalen.
It's going to be called Waiting on Jalen. Yeah. So anyways, it doesn't surprise me, but
it's bothering me to not be able to name the other person here. So I want to just sort of play this back and figure it out.
Is that me or you? Oh, okay.
This is me. Wait, hold on. Here we go.
Some of the things were like simple that he thought they were. So, was there somebody who stood out as having been very good at it? Yeah, Covey's really good.
Covey.
Oh yeah, okay.
Covey, Tanner, and then Jalen. There you go.
I can see that. Yeah, Covey's a smart guy.
Talked to Covey today. He's childhood friends with Puka Nacua.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
Yes, his brother, Puka's older brother, was Covey's his number one receiver in high school. It's like one of his best friends in the world. So he's going to go back to Utah this offseason and work out with Austin Collie and Puka.
Yeah. I had a tell Michael Dunn I said hi. Your Kenny Pickett type thing.
Michael Dunn says hello.
Yeah, where like you say you're like, what did I just say? So I was I always try to say hello to Covey and check in on him, how he's doing. Right? I'm not like interviewing about special teams every week, but always try to say hello. And I just wanted to go and like say goodbye. And I said, thanks for everything this year. Enjoy your off season. I said, because he just had a son, and I said, enjoy being a father. And it like came out in such an odd way, like enjoy being a father, as if like he's not a father already, right? But
I get that one. I don't think that's that bad.
Oh, I did. I was like,
I don't think you should beat yourself up for that one. Be a little kinder to yourself. I think that was fine.
All right,
you probably understood. Now the season is over. He gets a little bit of time to sit down and be a father.
Okay, fair enough. Diana just tweeted out. It really seems like people are trying to clarify this to Diana. I thought her initial message was fine,
right?
But it's okay. Nick Sirianni will meet with owner Jeffrey Lurie and will be expected to have a plan for how he is going to improve the Eagles. This will include a pitch on potential new coordinators and assistant coaches per sources. This is why coaches around the league have been contacted.
Yeah, that's exactly what she already said. I feel bad that
that people feel the need to clarify this.
Yeah, that people were reaching out to her so much. Like, you were right the first time, Diana.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
I totally agree.
Yeah, of course he's gonna have to meet and show a plan. Like that's it's exactly what we said at the top of the show, that it's not enough for Nick to go there and say, we need to improve this. It needs to be, this is how we're going to improve this.
Sure. And it's, I would imagine the pushback that she would have gotten is like, well, we haven't fired anybody yet.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah.
Sorry. I pulled his act, dropped him.
No problem.
Dropped an S-bomb.
But no, elsewhere in the locker room, it was a lot of little nuggets here and there. Spoke to DeAndre Swift. He said we'll see about his future. He said he's shown a lot this year. He's shown that he can be an every down back, right? He's accomplished that. He's put up big numbers. So we'll see. He loved playing in his hometown. That's something else that he noted. But he's a free agent. I think he improved his value. I know the running back market was depressed last year, literally and figuratively, right? But I think that I think Swift is going to have options.
He's going to have some options. I don't think anybody's breaking down, taking out a credit line so that they can pay for DeAndre Swift.
You don't think he's going to get Miles Sanders money? I think
he might not.
Miles Sanders contract might actually hurt Swift, right?
Yeah,
because it shows you that like this Eagles offense.
I actually think that the DeAndre Swift market might be so tepid that he comes back.
Interesting. Okay, I can see that.
I don't know. Which was the opposite of the Miles Sanders, which they were clearly running him into the ground.
Yeah. He did stay healthy this year. That was a big thing that he felt he had to prove because of kind of a perception that might have been out there.
Landon Dickerson had some good perspective on Kelce and just his own self-scouting process and the idea that like if Kelce does leave, would he be willing to play center? He said he'll do whatever they think is best for the team. No problem with that. He's always got some good insight.
Anything about his contract?
He said that's what I've got. That's as you expected. That's what my agent's for.
That's my agent's for.
Yeah. Now, notably, we did not hear from AJ Brown, which we probably didn't expect to. But he's injured. But he could have had a chance to talk. Devontae Smith didn't talk. Anybody else you were surprised didn't speak?
No, I was hoping to speak to Hassan Reddick. I spoke to Hassan after the game, and maybe that sufficed. But
I do sort of think if you speak after the game, I don't think it's that bad if you don't talk.
But there was some stuff about. I wasn't asking about his contract after the game, and I did want to kind of follow up with him about that. Hopefully, I'll have a chance to speak to Hassan in the coming. Hopefully, I have a chance to speak to Hassan soon. Always enjoy his perspective. By the way, on the point of injuries, Slay said that he avoided major injury, but he probably wouldn't have been able to play this weekend had they won. So it's a back injury. He said they gave him a bunch of big words. He did not understand it. It's a back injury.
Okay. All right. What else is there to go over?
Yeah, a little.
We're going to be back tomorrow at 10 a.m.
Yeah, Jack Stoll's going to be a restricted free agent. I don't think we need to get into that. But
next week, we should do a little Flu World Order.
Flu World Order, we have to. I mean, maybe we do it over 2 days or something, right? We can stretch that out.
I mean,
no. I mean, they have a lot of free agents.
Yeah, but that's the game.
Yeah, but instead of doing, we're on every day. Instead of doing like a 3-hour Flu World Order, you can split that bad boy up an hour and a half. There's other people who need our studio space.
An hour and a half. That's 3. We'll make it 3 episodes.
No, I said 3. It's instead of a 3-hour episode, which sometimes those Flu World Orders go on. You do an hour and a half one day, an hour and a half the next day. Yes. Claire F says we want 3-hour pods. Claire, if we gave you 3-hour pods,
5 days a week.
5 days a week. Yes. Yeah. I mean, I think
you're getting as many hours of pods as you got before, if not more.
Yeah. I love talking Eagles. I love talking with Bo. But yeah, we have shows on our network for every team. You can check those out, and so people need the studio space.
Got 2 studios.
True. Shay in the chat says, "Would Jalen have a better defense for Jack Stoll? A better defense for Jack Stoll coming back?"
That would be really funny.
So,
We should have asked him.
Yeah.
Like, oh,
Yeah.
no, I trust that guy.
Yeah, it's like, hey, you want Nick Sirianni back? Players play, coaches coach, man, owners own. What about Jack Stoll? If Jack Stoll doesn't come back, okay, then I am demanding a trade, right? I mean that's expect something like that. But always good talking to Jack.
That's a good line.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Zach. Anything else from today?
Oh, well, we should say too. Look, certainly, I don't want it to seem like Sirianni's out the door, and I'm trying to detach my personal feelings for Nick. No, for kind of my reporting and analysis on the team here. But if you are of the opinion that Bill Belichick would be of interest to the Eagles, and there was a column in the Washington Post today from Jason LaCanfora with league executives saying that would be that's the logical fit for Belichick. At the Dallas Cowboys, who we thought would be an attractive team for him, given the very similar profile of team to the Eagles right now in terms of roster and spot, they're keeping Mike McCarthy. That came out right before our show. So McCarthy's back, and Belichick, who interviewed with the Falcons, but if you're, I would say how many great jobs are out there. I frankly thought he was going to go to Dallas, and the relationship he has with the Jones family and the profile of that job and the team that they had in place. But Mike McCarthy's coming back. Yeah, I keep thinking, by the way, and shout out to Seth Wickersham. He had a tweet earlier about that I did not see when I was driving. I saw when I was home.
I thought you were going to say in the 200 minutes in which you were waiting for Jalen Hurts.
No, I was eating my dinner. Emily made me meat sauce with edamame noodles. Have you ever had edamame noodles? You
know what? I think I've had them once.
Okay.
I consistently try to talk myself into the vegetable noodle.
Yeah.
Just putting vegetables in the sauce instead and give myself some real noodles.
Yeah, those are the only kind of noodles that we seem to have in our house are these vegetable noodles. So anyways, I saw I saw the Seth Wickersham tweet that, Brady, the best, free agent in NFL history, basically, was surprised to see how tepid the market was for him when he was available. And he's like, Belichick, the top free agent coach, in NFL history, is he going to find the same thing?
That's interesting.
Yeah, I mean,
in a vacuum clip of Brady, you're going to keep that mother effer?
Yeah, if Belichick wanted to go to Dallas, and he's like, you're keeping Mike McCarthy over me,
Right. Yeah, that's a good point.
So
do you have other vegetable noodle? Do you have a sweet potato, a squash noodle, or is it just?
Oh yeah, I've had spaghetti squash many times. I mean,
spaghetti squash is a different. That's just a vegetable. We're not talking about the noodles.
Is spaghetti squash just noodles that they make in the squash? They make
there are squash noodles, but then there's spaghetti squash is its own vegetable.
Okay, I know what she has is it's a big squash that you put through a noodle press.
Okay, that's different.
Okay, I thought that was spaghetti squash. Am I wrong?
Spaghetti squash is its own vegetable. That is, it's its own kind of squash.
I did not realize.
It's delicious.
Yeah,
very easy to make. Just cut it in half. Sprinkle. Put whatever you want on it, and then put it in the oven.
Yeah. By the way, I'm gonna take umbrage. Scott G says, "No wonder Zach never runs into listeners at ShopRite." Scott G, if you saw my when Emily's out of town, what I'm eating, I mean, it's ShopRite would be generous to have this. This is more like.
What do you mean?
In what regard?
I'm meaning I don't understand your point.
I mean, just the basics. I think he's referring to the fact that these are complicated foods.
Oh, I see.
I'm having just the basics when.
And longtime listeners know that she can't be sending you to do the food shopping because you're just going to get what's on the list. There's no freelancing.
Exactly. There is absolutely no freelancing going on with that.
Tough.
Yeah. What'd you eat for dinner tonight?
I haven't eaten dinner yet.
Oh, okay.
Not ideal.
Not
But
ideal.
that's the situation we are in.
Well, we are going to be back in 12 hours and 15 minutes for some role playing.
You've got my attention, my friend.
Are you going to be?
Maybe I'll ask you to do the shopping this time.
Are you going to be Sirianni? Or are you going to be Lurie?
I think I will be Lurie if that's okay with you.
That's fine with
I
me.
know you are the Lurie historian.
No, that's fine with me.
But I think maybe that makes. I think that might make for a better setup. Well, then we can switch. We can switch midway through too. That might keep things interesting.
Well, I mean, what if Howie gets called into the office?
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, how about Jalen gets called in?
Are you going to book these guests?
No,
It's
we're all
a
going
quick
to play these
turnaround.
different roles. Yeah. Brian Johnson gets let's phone a friend at one point, right? So
Who's playing these roles?
we are. We're
Okay. We
shifting.
can show our range. I see.
Yeah. Yes. We could show our range for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I look forward to that. We will have that at 10 a.m. tomorrow. So, put on your eyes wide shut masks and get ready.
I don't understand that reference, but I don't know if I have to.
You don't.
Okay, good.
Thanks to everybody for joining us on an evening pod, a classic throwback edition of the PHLY Eagles podcast. We will be back in Studio B tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Thank you to Julia for hanging with us through all these schedule machinations today. And that's all we got. We'll talk to you tomorrow. For Zach and Julia and all of us at PHLY, we thank you very much. We'll talk to you tomorrow. And as always, we love you.
We all silly like the mayor.